Welcome to Issued for Construction. I'm your host, Jonathan Jacobs, and today I've got with me three people from a practice that's been synonymous with the Toronto skyline and beyond for, call it, 6+ decades? So today I've got with me WZMH Architects. Before we dive into the incredible individual journeys of my guests today, I want to give you a quick preview of where this conversation goes. Later in the episode, the leadership team at WZMH dives deep into the critical importance of continued education. They talk about their internal WZMH Academy, their incubator and accelerator platforms like Sparkbird and Giraffe Apps, and how they actively support external scholarship programs. Listening to them talk about investing in people instantly reminded me of the conversation I've had over the last 6 years with Rob Kaplan, the fourth generation owner of Kaplan's Appliances. Because like WZMH, Rob views business through a completely different lens than most owners. For him, it is never just about hitting high profit margins or making a quick transaction. Rob deeply understands the importance of connectivity to internal and external resources. He knows that when you are looking at your own education and growth as a professional, you need to be able to draw upon your peers. You want to connect with people who share similar experiences but who might view the industry from a slightly different angle. Having that network can mean the difference between monumental success and falling into redundancy. Kaplan's makes you feel like you are contributing to something greater than a mere transaction. That is why Kaplan's goes far beyond retail. They are actively fostering community and education through exclusive events like their masterclass series and their dinner series. These programs are specifically designed to expand your horizons and show you what truly professional connectivity can look like. And if you're a homeowner listening to this, it is incredibly refreshing to know that when you walk into Kaplan's, you aren't just dealing with a retailer looking to push a product. You are getting an unmatched consultative experience that very few can deliver. If you want to learn more about Kaplan's and the programs they offer that can help shift your mental approach and elevate your business, head over to the liner notes right now to connect with them, or alternatively, you can always email me directly and I'd be more than happy to personally connect you with Janine to get you involved. My email address is jonathan, Jonathan, at issuedforconstruction.ca. Now, back to the group. And of that group, I've got Zenon Radewych, I have Supreet, Barhay, and I have Moran, Olsha. Thank you for taking time out of your busy days. I know that there will be some time restraints on this, which is totally fine. So I'm going to look to you, Zenon, to start off, because I understand that you're the one with a client meeting that you got coming up. So if you don't mind, can we start off? Everything starts off talking about, who you were, where you were born, what was your family like, what were your interests like, and I'm ready for the mile a minute. Ready, 3, 2, go.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm Zenon Radewych. I was born in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, right here in the west end of Toronto. I'm the youngest of 5 boys in the family. That's why my first name starts with the letter Z, because my parents are like, hey, this is going to be the last baby. So the name is going to start with the last letter of the alphabet. If I was going to be a girl, I was going to be called Zanya. But so my name is Zenon. My mother tongue is Ukrainian. So I grew up in a family where, with 4 older brothers plus my dad, called 6 men. My mom, that wasn't exactly a easy place to kind of grow up in terms of just, there was a lot of, arguing and fighting amongst the boys and stuff, but it was fun. It was definitely a lot of fun. I went to a technical high school. I went to a school called Western Tech in west end of Toronto. So I took, drafting courses, architectural drafting courses in grade 9 and 10. So I kind of fell in love with the architectural, call it, field, the sector. So I knew very early on that I wanted to become, an architect or go into the profession, or a fireman, believe it or not. It was, fireman or going to architecture.
You wanted to go into the burning building, or you wanted to design the burning building?
Both, right? So I decided to go into architecture. So basically graduated. Back then, it was 5 years of high school. Grade 13 graduated.
Well, hold on. You're going straight to OAC. What were you doing? Did you like to draw? Were you into science? Did you like to do paper mache? What?
So I was actually a terrible student. I actually didn't do very well, but I loved to basically draw technical stuff. Like technical drawings. I love drawing technical things with straight lines. Okay. I wasn't an artist drawing curvy things and watercolor. I wasn't into that. Okay. But I love the whole
matter of fact.
Yeah. I love the whole technical drawing aspect of drawings, of drawing perfect lines, straight lines, and dimensions and that kind of stuff. And that kind of probably related to the fact that I also like building things out of wood and all of that kind of stuff. So there was, I think, a bit of a common ground between that and stuff I would do outside of school.
Did you ever have an injury while building with wood? Did you ever cut yourself?
Yeah, no. Listen, even today when I cut with a table saw, I'm not a carpenter, but I use tools.
Yeah.
And there's this thing when you're cutting on a table saw, if you push the wood in the wrong direction, it actually shoots back at you.
Yes.
And I've had that many times, and they almost kind of hit me in a spot where that I'd be speaking with a different tone today, right? Like soprano tone. So
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's happened multiple times. Like there's bruises on my legs from that, right? But I've never cut myself yet, like in terms of chopping off my fingers.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, I was noticing all the digits are in place. That's a good thing.
But definitely the wood has backfired and hit me multiple times, right? So I'm going to buy pretty soon that table. They have a table saw now where I've seen on TV, or on social media, where like you could run your finger up to the blade and it'll stop.
Yeah.
They test it with a hot dog.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing.
I'm going to buy one of those, test it first.
You just got to make sure the sensor works.
Exactly.
So I've never cut myself, but kind of getting back to answer your question. So, that was kind of, call it my career path in terms of my passion towards this business. And then I was lucky too, at the end of high school or middle of high school, I actually got a job working in a small little firm, a one-person firm. So I was exposed, called to the profession before I even went into university. Worked for a small little firm, didn't really make a lot of money. I offered to work for free as a student.
What were they specializing in?
Housing. They're doing a lot of housing. It was a gentleman, his name was Terry. Still around, I consider him one of my mentors. And he was doing a lot of this custom housing, big homes, on Mississauga Road, which is kind of the bridle path of Mississauga, like West End. Yep. So doing a lot of housing stuff, which was fun, right? And so I worked with him in high school and then through university. I went to Ryerson University, which is now called TMU.
Yep.
And then when I graduated, I worked for him for a year and a half. When I graduated, which is 1993, the country was in a recession. There was no work. Half of my class walked away from the profession.
Yeah.
And I stayed in it and suffered because for the first couple of years, didn't make any money, actually probably lost money, right? And then I get a phone call from a friend of mine that actually used to work for that Terry guy. He said, "Hey, Zenon, I'm at WZMH." It was called Webb Zerafa Menkès Housden back then.
Yep.
He goes, "I'm going to Italy for 2 weeks. Do you want my seat?" Because he didn't want to lose his job. He goes, "Do you want my seat and do my job for 2 weeks?" Right? Wow. I said, "Sure, I'll take it," because I wasn't making much money, right? So I came in here, worked for 2 weeks. It was in the summer. And
wait, Supreet, you didn't know this?
No,
some parts of it, but not most.
So at the end of the 2 weeks, the partners then said, "Hey, Zenon, do you want to stay?" And I said, "Sure." And so basically I stayed. And so, end of the day, a lot has happened since then. But basically, that's history, right?
You were a substitute architect.
Substitute
for 2 weeks.
And somehow in 2 weeks made enough of an impression to actually acquire a job.
Well, here's the funny thing.
What happened to the person?
No, here's the funny thing. So at the time, our office had 2 jobs, or actually 2 kind of jobs, 2 big jobs. Again, recession back then, 30 people in the office, right? So 3 weeks after I get this so-called full-time job, we lose a big job in the office. Oof. Put on hold, the government job. Huge layoff. So I was like the last guy to join. So, "Hey, Zenon, sorry, man.
We like you a lot."
Yeah. So I go home on Friday night. It was a Friday. I go home on Friday. I phone my old boss, Terry. I say, "Terry, can I come back?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, you can come back," right? Like, even though he didn't have much work, he goes, "Please come back." So on Monday morning, I go to work for Terry. Monday night, I come back home, and there's a message from WZMH saying, "Hey, Zenon, we didn't want to really let you go. Can you come back?"
We had to make you a part of the overall layoffs to make it look good optically.
Exactly.
But ideally, we would like to have you back because we still value what you brought in. Yeah. And those 2 weeks were really strong.
Yeah. So then I phoned Terry. So I said, "Terry, listen, you want to come back?" So He's like, oh shit. I go, okay. So I phoned WZMH, the partner back then. His name was Jay Bigelow, passed away, very nice partner, passed away a couple years ago. I go, Jay, listen, I'm coming back, but for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do 2 jobs. In the morning, I'm going to go to work for Terry. And then after 3 o'clock, I'm going to drive downtown from Mississauga and work for WZMH. So I did that for a couple of weeks. And then I basically stayed here, right?
Okay.
And then the best thing that I think ever happened to me in terms of my career is about a year and a half later. So we were working on this big job called the Windsor Casino.
Hold on, before you go there, I just want to understand the timeline. You came into work, and I keep making this joke of the reference, but now let's actually take it. So you worked for those 2 weeks. Was it directly after those 2 weeks they brought you on full time?
Yeah.
And how long was that period of time before you were laid off?
About 3 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, like 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then within a couple of days you're back. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Doing
Okay.
2 jobs.
Yeah. So now you fast forward and you're like, you're a year and a half later from that initial start.
So a year and a half later. And for that year and a half, I'm working on this job called the Windsor Casino. So I was doing what they call design development work, right? I got into contract documents, working drawings. And the job was under construction. And back then, the casino days were like, they just started building. Drawings were half baked. Drawings weren't even finished. They're building, basically, right? And in jobs like that, when they start building and drawings are half baked, they really need a lot of site support to be there on site to resolve things, right? So the owners are like, we want somebody full-time living in Windsor from your office, right? So the partners and the bosses went to all the senior guys. They're like, we're not moving.
Yeah, we're not moving.
We're not moving to Windsor full-time, right? So they went down the list. And then I was like this kid. They're like, hey, Zenon, do you want to go? I'm like, I want to go. I want to go. I want to do this, right? So they moved me to Windsor, right? And I basically lived in a hotel for almost 2 years, right?
They put you in a hotel?
Lived in a hotel. I'd fly back and forth every Monday and Friday night for 2 years, right? And that was the best thing that ever happened to me in terms of what I learned, basically
the
living and breathing, the
technicality.
technicality. But it wasn't even just that. It was relationship building, meeting young guys that today are the owners of construction companies or sub-trades, suppliers. Like I met so many different people because at that time, that was probably the biggest commercial construction project in Canada. It was a huge job, right? And it had everything in the job. It had, the casino, it had huge kitchens, hotels, restaurants, parking garage, huge mechanical electrical plant. It had every component except a hospital, right? Every component was in that complex.
They would have had an infirmary.
Yeah, it probably had some sort of small, but it had all these different components and everything from high-end finishes to like middle of the ground finishes.
Yeah.
So I was exposed to a lot and every single day. It wasn't like, you go to the construction site once a month. I was there every single day for 8 hours walking that site, blah, blah, blah. So the point is, I learned so much that when I came back to the firm to now be here full time, that was kind of, that allowed me to kind of move very, very quickly within the firm.
For sure.
Right? And kind of, go from this young kid being on site to somebody then kind of managing overall projects. And then I had some amazing mentors in the firm in terms of the partners, a gentleman by the name of Fedor Tisch, Carl Blanchard. But one of my great mentors was a guy named Mel Glickman, who's still alive today, that was very much a business development oriented type of partner, right? Yeah. And I learned a lot from him in terms of, chasing work, going after projects, knocking on doors, and stuff like that. And that's when I realized, in this business, that's kind of key to the success of a business. You just can't, I tell people, you can't sit and wait for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
You have to go and knock on doors. You have to make opportunities, right? And Mel was one of those. And it's not just Mel. I think that the firm since day one has very much had this entrepreneurial spirit in terms of the partners were always kind of trying to create work for their clients, looking for sites to develop, looking at existing buildings to redevelop, to, improve the assets. That was always the mindset in the firm. And it still is the mindset today. And I think that's really important because that kind of really allows firms to kind of stay alive and grow, right? And I learned that from many of those partners that, hey, if you want to really survive today, even back then, it's more about than just, responding to a government call or again, waiting for the client to call. You need to go and look for work and even create those opportunities for clients.
Create your destiny.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And so I learned a lot of that from those partners, and I'm trying now my best to kind of, pass it on to the younger generation that's here today. But, that's been kind of my story. And then I would say in around 2017, as you know, I was kind of maturing in the firm in terms of, having done quite a few projects and building up certain sectors. My focus kind of then went into kind of what I always wanted to do when I was a kid, and that is kind of build again, R&D stuff, right? And so in 2017, we started this lab called Sparkbird. It's an R&D lab where we basically play in the sandbox and build things, invent things that are not necessarily meant for today or not even for tomorrow, but could be things that might be used in our industry in the next 5 or 10 years, right? So we started inventing, created some cool inventions. The first one was this thing called the Intelligent Structural Panel, which we could show you later on if you want to see it.
Yeah.
But a real cool product that actually Microsoft saw, for example, saw it and they said, hey, this is really cool. We could help you with this, but we want you to apply to our AI and IoT Insiders Lab. So we did. We were accepted, we believe the only firm in the world, architectural firm in the world, accepted into their lab, right? And that was really the beginning of Sparkbird growing to becoming what it is today, which is this amazing lab full of a lot of great inventions that come from the brains within this firm and the new brains that come into the firm in terms of young kids that join our firm.
Can I touch on that? Because we never really know who's listening exactly to the podcast. And so I say this to anyone that would be listening. If you're a student and technicality and innovation is in your blood, you can know that if you were to go ahead and get your license in architecture and work through it, eventually, ultimately, you might land in doing something at a practice that is completely innovative in a way that you never would have anticipated, that you would have been just doing some technical drawings on a computer. Yeah. So you just got to bear that in mind as you're going through your career, even as an intern architect or a junior architect. Who knows where you are in your career? Things like this exist. So this is so interesting.
Yeah, and what's really cool is that when we started with our lab and we started looking at building things, meaning I call it bricks and mortar things, like they were physical things that we were building. Those physical things kind of led to digital things, software ideas, and that kind of started during COVID.
Yeah, and
we realized, hey, wait a minute, we also have some good ideas on the software side. So we started building software solutions, right? And you want to?
No, I was going to say, can we come back to the concept of what's happening now? I want to go through.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to go to everyone else, and then come back and start talking about like the evolution of practice in the same way that you are now.
Cool.
So that said, if you're listening, bookmark this idea. So because we're going to come back to it. Okay. Before we jump into Supreet's story, I want to plant a little seed. Later on in this episode, you're going to hear that the team from WZMH talk about some massive milestones, specifically the 50th anniversary of the CN Tower and the Royal Bank Plaza. Hearing about these enduring legacies naturally makes you think about longevity, quality, and building something that truly lasts. That brings me to Martin and Marta over at The Doors. This year, their European window and door company is celebrating a major milestone of their own, their 20th anniversary. Reaching 2 decades in this industry is an incredible achievement, and it only happens if you are deeply committed to delivering an experience that works for absolutely all parties involved. Whether you are a homeowner, a custom builder, a designer, or an architect, everyone is a valued client to them. Martin and Marta want every single person involved in a project to share in the exact same level of satisfaction when they see their premium windows and doors installed and functioning flawlessly. Having had many conversations with Martin over the last number of years, I can tell you with absolute certainty that this is truly all he cares about. He wants to know that the client on the other end, the one making a payment for their product, feels so confident in the result that they become a lifelong advocate and a proud reference for their business for years to come. If you want to learn more about what kind of dedicated partnership looks like from a window and door company and how to get involved with them at The Doors on your next project, well then feel free to head over to the liner notes for their contact details in the website, or you can contact me directly. It's Jonathan, Jonathan, at issuedforconstruction.ca, and I'll happily put you in touch with Martin and Marta. Now, let's go back to Supreet. So, Supreet, would you like to go ahead and share your story?
So I'm sure my story is not as funny as interesting as Zenon's, but I'll try. So again, in terms of where I started, I was born in India.
Okay.
I went to school in India, and I was a very competitive child.
India is a big place.
It's a big place.
Where in India?
New Delhi.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was born and brought up here. I went to school in India.
Yeah.
Lots of friends there. Still go back there to meet my friends. But as I was growing up in India, there is this one thing culturally. If your child is smart, they're either going to become a doctor or an engineer. There is nothing else that exists when it comes to career paths. So when I was growing up, I just wanted to be a doctor. And I was always studying. I was always in the books. So they always call me a bookworm. I had zero social skills. It was always about just, I need to come first. I need to be good at it. I need to be above 90 always. So very academic oriented.
Okay.
But because, as you said, India is a big place.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, there wasn't a lot of universities or schools offering medicine degree.
Yeah.
So they were like thousands of kids applying, but there were only 100 seats kind of a thing. And we had competitive exams. So I spent a full year. I took admission in BSc after my high school. I had great marks in my board exams in grade 12. And then I was studying, but then I said, no. I gave entrance exams. Of course, I did not succeed. So there goes my dream. And then I am at it again.
How did that go over with your parents?
They were never, it was more about me. I was more ambitious than my parents. My parents were very happy me doing a 3-year bachelor's of science degree and then just get married to someone rich. And I was like,
That's a solution.
You said you weren't as funny, you know? It didn't take long.
You don't have to go too far from us. You can just stay close to us, get married to a rich family, have kids, have chauffeur-driven cars, maids in the house. Why do you need to study hard?
Sure.
I was like, no. I think I want to make
I
my
have
own
some
destiny.
ambitions for myself.
Yeah, so my parents were always like, it's okay, take a chill pill. And I'm like, So anyways, I was doing my BSc and I was doing botany honors. And I went for a few months and I hated it. It was not for me. I wanted to be in a professional field. I was always driven. I wanted to be making a difference.
Yep.
So I said, okay, I'm going to try for medicine again. I dropped out of the university to give entrance exams again. So I went into coaching and everything. So I could do extra training, extra studying. So I could just really excel at the exams.
Yep.
I tried my best. But second year, when I tried, I was a little smarter because this time I had backup options. So I said, in case I don't become a doctor, maybe I will look into becoming an architect, choice number 2. Engineer, choice number 3, computer engineer. So that was my backup choices. So that this time, I gave my entrance exams both in medicine, and then I also gave entrance exams in architecture, and then I gave entrance exams in engineering.
Oh, you did all 3?
I did. I gave exams for all 3. And sure enough, destiny had it. I was not to become a doctor. So God saved all those lives because they didn't want me to be performing on them.
Batted 2 for 2 on the jokes. I don't like that.
So then, but yeah, I got admission into my second backup option, architecture, which is interesting. So I went to, and it was very far from my home. So again, my parents were not happy. Do you really want to go that far? 5 years away from home. I'll get to see you once in 6 months. And I was like, I want to go. So sure enough, I went. And then it's interesting. The first 6 months I was doing architecture, I loved it. I fell in love with it. I knew nothing about plans. I knew nothing about technical drafting. But when I was in there, when we were doing line weights, when we were doing all the alphabets and everything, I was like, okay, I love it. And as we started technical design, drafting and everything, I fell more in love with it. And I was like, okay, you know what? This was meant for me. So I very soon, within 6 months, came to realization that God had his plans right. I was meant to be an architect. And 5 years just went like a blip. I mean, I didn't even realize.
And where was the school?
It was in Bangalore, Bangalore University. So it is in south of India.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of more schools in the southern India than in the northern India at that time. So I did go to school that Bangalore University for 5 years, did my 5-year degree, came back for my internship. And luckily, I did so well and my portfolio was so good that the president of Council of Architecture, which is the equivalent of, let's say, RAIC here, so my uncle knew him. So I just went and I said, hey, I'm looking for an internship. Can you suggest someone? And he saw my portfolio. He said, can you work for me? He was 2 hours away, commute every day. And I just did not have the heart to say no to him.
You drove 4 hours plus a day?
I went in a bus 2 hours one way every day because I couldn't say no to him.
That's crazy. What is wrong with the two of you?
No, it was good experience. But
yeah, I'll move to Windsor. Yeah, no problem. I'll hop on a bus for a couple hours every day. No problem. And this is at a time when, like, when you went on the bus, it was analog.
Yeah.
You didn't have the opportunity to go on your phone and like scroll through the news and see what was going on Instagram or go read X.
At time became more sociable, so I made lots of friends in the bus.
I once took a taxi cab home from Windsor when the flight was canceled. But I wanted to get home, so I took a taxi right from home.
Yeah, and then just gave the chit to the what is this $400 cab ride? Well, sorry guys, I had to go home. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Continue. So you went to go work for him.
So I went to go work for him, and then architects don't make a lot of money. Is that I realized. I said, okay, great. I got my option, but I'm not making any money. So then at that time, it was very prevalent. You need to do master's degree if you want to start earning more money. And construction industry had more money than design industry in India at that time. So then I gave the scholarship exam. They have this exam called GATE in India, in which if you get scholarship, you also get placed in one of the best universities. So this time I gave the GATE exam. I had a 9th All India rank, which again, as you know, I'm very competitive.
Top
I need
10.
to do that.
There we go.
So I got admission in my first choice, which was building engineering and management. Lucky for my parents that this time it was in Delhi. So I didn't have to go stay somewhere else, but it was on one condition that my dad had to give me a car to drive and I was not taking a bus.
And to me, it sounds like it's a pretty comprehensive program as well. This is not just architecture. Like you're learning all the facets associated with constructability.
Yes. So 5 years architecture degree done. I can do all of the design and learn about building construction and everything. But this was very specific to building engineering and management. So it was more about construction management, processes, resources, schedule tracking, which is interesting enough. I never thought that I would be doing that for the rest of my career. But that's where the seeds were sowed. So it went well. Again, topped all the semesters, was a gold medalist, got 100% scholarship. And then I went to apply for a job. And I did my thesis in quality management, means how to improve processes in a construction company.
Yep.
So I was working for the top 10th, I think it was Aluwale Contracts Company, where I was implementing ISO 9001-2000 for them, improving their processes. It was paying better than architecture, but not enough. So I think that was history. I was doing that, and then I got married, and then I moved to US. So there comes a whole switch.
And what led you to the US? What led you to leave and go to the US?
Because my husband was from US.
Okay.
So he's a Canadian who was working in US at that time. So I kind of got married right out of school. I was doing this work for the construction company and I moved to US. And then it was a restart of a career because here I'm a foreign educated professional, foreign trained professional, and I'm now competing with people who are trained there, who went to university there. So the first 7 months, as I was waiting for my visa to come through for work authorization, I was very nervous. I said, is anybody going to give me a job opportunity? So I was looking into doing a second master's degree already in University of Florida at that time. And as soon as my work authorization came, I had these 30 resumes and work letters already printed, and I just started applying like crazy. I said, I don't think anybody's going to ever call me, but let me try.
Physical copies.
Yes, it was 2003.
People listening may not understand that this is physical. This is not a digital asset. You know, you got to get now boots on the ground and go walk them somewhere, get on the bus and take them somewhere, or mail them and hope that it doesn't get lost in the mail.
So 2003, so it was mail. You had to, and you were hoping somebody would call you on your phone, say,
and you'll be there to pick it up.
And I was lucky. I got a call. I got one phone call out of the 30 letters I mailed out.
Yeah.
And they called me for an interview, and I'm like, okay, I'm going for this interview. I know I'm not going to get the job, but let me just go for the experience. I went for the interview, and they hired me right away. They must have seen something. I don't know what it was. And then I went to work and I was so nervous. The first day I said, oh my God, I have so much to learn. I have this big learning curve. I know nothing about the technology here. So, but it was a small firm in Florida, and then they had hired me and I went. And the first day, my boss taught me how to calculate plumbing fixtures for a building. The second day, he taught me how to do external references. So I was just absorbing everything like a sponge. It was all coming and I was just taking it all in. And in 3 months probation, they said, hey, not only are we going to keep you, but we're going to give you a raise. So that was a great opportunity. So
and
again,
validation of all the effort that's been put into like moving multiple times, taking a really bad paying job that took you a long time to get to, moving across the ocean, risking it all, there's no equivalency exams either, right?
No, there weren't, but we'll get to that because in Canada we do have to go through the equivalency, which I had to do. So it was interesting. So that all happened, and it was history, and I was really doing well. And 3 years later, I had my son, and then we moved to Canada because that's where the head office was.
Yep.
And then when I moved to Canada, I was working for the same company still, but I wanted to get licensed here. And then here I am now starting with my Indian degrees that I have done and going to equivalency for, is my education same as the education over here? So I think big key thing for me in Florida was it is one opportunity you need. If you are given that opportunity, put in everything you've got because that's what's going to take you where you want to go in life. So that was my big lesson learned. And then if you have set a goal for something, and if I want to get licensed, I'm not going to get comfortable working for the same company I've been working for. I need to get out. I don't care my son is 10 months old. I need to be working in a company here so I can get licensed. So it was a lot of drive and motivation.
Right.
So 10 months old, I'm out again. 15 resumes mailed out. Somebody will call me back. And I got one call. And my first call was from Parrot Associates and Architects. So again, it used to be a firm in downtown Toronto. And I went for the interview, and sure enough, they liked me. And then I got the job. And
so if you're giving the interview, you're 100% so far in the
I have only given 2 interviews to date, so I have no
That's what I'm
idea
saying.
how the third one's going to be.
You're 100%. Yeah, give me an interview, I'll win it. Yeah, no problem. Let's go.
There we go. And I think rest is history because and that was 2006 when I moved to Canada and I started working. And since then, I worked with Pello. I had 2 bosses, David Moran and John Ricci, and I learned so much from them. And it was really a retail-oriented firm. So we did a lot of retail shopping malls, renovations, redevelopments, and repositionings. And I pretty much stayed with both of them a lot. So I had so much to learn. And then in 2015, we merged with WZMH Architects. So we kind of brought that whole retail side of the things into the firm. And it's been growing ever since.
Okay. This is a good story.
Good story.
It's just such a weird thing, right? To try to give like an abbreviated version of
so much
years of your life. I'm going to give you like 12 minutes. Go ahead. Let's see if you can like summarize your life in 12 minutes.
Oh, and I did get licensed.
There you go. Okay. There you go.
The other thing was they gave me equivalency. So I didn't have to do any courses, any schooling, any extra credits. So anybody listening to this podcast, Jonathan's going to tell you that if you come to this country and you have all of the degrees behind you, don't be afraid to go for the evaluation. You can get accredited for equivalency.
And, when we went to meet Pello and we were going through the process of merging with them and met with John Ricci and Harry Pello and David Moore, after I think the first hour or two, they brought Supreet into the meeting to kind of, show us who's going to be the next leadership within that firm, meaning, we were able to kind of see that, hey, who is the group that's going to come behind them? And Supreet was that person, right? So that was really kind of interesting to kind of see.
All right. Moran, are you ready?
I am. Okay, so I was born in Israel and I grew up in Israel. And
so it's Moran.
Moran, yes. And it's actually funny listening to you because I'm thinking, wow, the Jewish parents and the Indian parents are so the same. So my parents came from finance, and I was told I needed to be either an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor. Those were my options. And professional. Yeah. Had to be one of those, and better yet, marry a rich man. In the process, that was always in the cards. And anyway, I was not as studious as you were, so I was more like drawing the pretty pictures and loving the arts and doing lots of artwork. And my parents obviously were not very happy with it. And at grade 6 in Israel, they do this test that helps you understand if you're more realistic or artistic, if you should go to which way.
It exists here too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember doing those personality and trait tests, and it was like you got colors.
Yes,
Yeah.
we had the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was looking
Thanks.
forward for this because I thought maybe that would be a good proof to my parents that I have no hope in any of those professions and I can become an artist. But it came back inconclusive. I can do anything. And it was like, damn it, I really wanted to get a better direction of not doing what they wanted me to do. Anyway, a good friend of my parents was an architect, and I loved his family. They were very artistic, and his son became a recording artist in Israel, and I just kind of getting this art from his house and learning about architecture from him was very inspiring.
I didn't ask where in Israel.
So I grew up in Eilat,
Yep.
and this friend of my parents actually lived in Tel Aviv. So when I went there, it's like, you have to appreciate at the time you take a bus like for 5 hours and schlep there and everything. And so I would probably stay for like, a week or two. I wouldn't go for like an hour. So you really get to immerse in the life. And he really inspired me. And then the next year after, like this is where I was like maybe 10, 12, I would go there quite a bit. Just a side note, I've been traveling since I was 3 years old alone. My parents will put me on an airplane and somebody will wait for me on the other side. So I became very independent, very, very young.
Can't tell if that's love or not love.
Very good question. Very good question. I think it's actually funny when I was...
It's so Israeli.
Yeah, right? Just put her on the plane. Somebody's going to wait for her on the other side. Literally 3 years old. But when I was 16, I told my parents, I'm going to go and travel for 3 months in Israel. I'm going to miss some school, but I really want to do this. And they're like, okay, who are you going with? And my boyfriend at the time was like shocked that was the reaction. Like, who says, okay, where are you going with? And I said, I'm going with this boy who became my husband later on. And they're like, okay, you can go. So his mom calls my parents and said, how do you allow her to go? And they're like, well, she's so responsible. Our other daughter is older. We would never let her go anywhere. So that was just me. I was very independent.
Sister.
Yes. So I was very independent, and I knew what I wanted, and I really wanted to become an architect, even though my parents weren't very keen on it. Fast forward, 16 years old, I traveled for 3 months. At the end of the travel, my parents told me we're moving to Canada.
Were you backpacking?
Yes. We were backpacking
where?
in the state. We landed in New York. We stayed there for 10 days. Then we took a flight to we took a flight to Los Angeles. We bought a car. He was 18 years old. I was 16. Funny story. We drove up north and we crossed the border to Vancouver. And they stopped us at the border. They took us each to a different room and they tried to figure out if he kidnapped me. And I was like, I have no idea what these guys want from me. So we were very young.
Did you know this? Welcome.
Yeah, it was very young. Yeah. So that was 16 years old. Then I moved to Canada. He stayed in Israel. He went to the army.
Hold on. When that interrogation finished, did you both come out and like hug each other, being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is over"?
We were laughing so hard. I'm very chill. Like the guys kept asking me because they were worried about me. He got a little bit less, but Canadians are really nice. So it wasn't like
they said sorry and thank you.
Sorry and thank you. Absolutely. It was very funny because the car was from California. We were both with Israeli passports.
And you're 16.
I was 16 and he was not even 18. He turned 18 like a couple of months afterwards. We celebrated his 18th birthday in Disneyland. So
really?
Yeah, we actually drove all the way across and then down to Florida. Yeah, it was a great trip. Like really awesome.
And to be a foreigner and entering and seeing like all of America as you drive through it, like what a way to experience culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
what were some of the most iconic things that you remember that correlate to what you do now, if that's even the case?
Well, yes, absolutely. So I fell in love with New York City, and that became sort of my go-to city and my inspiration for many things. But I always heard about New York City from the movies. And, when you grow up in Israel, like New York is New York. But then when I came here, I kind of saw, I remember walking in, like we were working in Chicago, and I'm like, how did I not know about this city? Chicago is amazing. And funny enough, we even came to Toronto, and I was like, how did I not know about this city? So there were a bunch of cities that we got to see, and that even, closed the deal for me, that I need to live in an urban area. I want to work in an urban area, and I definitely want to be an architect that builds these buildings. So
designs in urban areas.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So then what did it look like from post-secondary?
So before we got to post-secondary, I moved here with my parents when I was 16.
And what led your parents here? Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
That's good. My parents, not really sure, but they just wanted a better life.
Fair.
Safety, the issues in Israel still going on, still going hard. So they thought it would be a better place for their kids.
Listening to Moran describe her family moving to Canada in pursuit of a better life perfectly mirrors the story of Yuri, the owner of Aquanta Pools. Yuri originally developed his stellar reputation in the pool industry back in Ukraine over a span of 20 years. But like so many driven professionals, he eventually brought his talent to Toronto seeking a better quality of life. Over the last few years, he has successfully built Aquanta Pools from the ground up, relying on a relentless Eastern European work ethic. Yuri is the kind of owner who works tirelessly. He spends his nights quoting and handling administrative duties and then physically shows up on site during the day to lead his dedicated teams. He deeply values the relationships he builds with clients because he knows they are the true foundation of long-term success in a new country. Aquanta Pools specializes in something truly revolutionary called biodesign pools. If you can imagine having a luxurious natural beach oasis right in your backyard, that is exactly what they deliver. Beyond the stunning visual appeal, what makes biodesign pools so incredible is the science behind their construction. Instead of rigid concrete, the pool is built using highly advanced structural layers and waterproofing liners that possess over 300% elasticity. This elasticity allows the interior layers of the pool to seamlessly expand and contract with the earth. Because the material moves with the ground, it dramatically reduces the need for invasive excavation and minimizes the structural cracking that constantly plagues traditional pools. It is the exact kind of forward-thinking material innovation that the architects at WZMH are always kind of striving for. So if you're looking to transform your backyard with brilliant design backed by a team that works day and night to honor their client relationships, you need to look into Aquanta Pools. You can find their contact information in the liner notes of the episode, or you can contact me directly. It's Jonathan, Jonathan, at issuedforconstruction.ca. Now, let's go back to Moran.
We moved here. I'm the middle child. My sister is older than me 2 years, but by the time my parents moved here, she was already 18.
So did she had to fly with them though when they came?
She said she's not coming.
Oh, she wasn't. Okay.
She moved out.
She's not allowed to go by herself.
Yeah, there you go. So she decided, she says, staying there if they leave.
Right.
And my brother is younger than me by 12 years. So he was a baby at the time with my parents.
Okay.
So fast forward, I came here. I studied at a Jewish school 1 year, and I thought that's not for me. I wanted to go back to Israel. Went back, finished high school there, did the army, graduated, finished the army, and then we came here to Canada, and I went to Ryerson. And the reason I went to Ryerson is because, truth be told, I didn't get into U of T, but
that Ryerson.
Same reason I went too.
Right? So I did everything.
Marks are too low.
So not to digress from what you're saying. So I applied to broadcast, to media studies at Ryerson, and I applied to U of T. Mm-hmm. Ryerson misplaced my application. Oh. And you have to do a whole portfolio piece. And the same thing, and then I got into mass communications and media at U of T, and I was like, but I was interested in Ryerson. Mm-hmm. And I went to Guelph Humber because Guelph Humber was a brand new school. I'm like, I'll help develop the school. Yeah. And I said, see you later, Ryerson. Like you can have it.
They missed on you.
I don't know. Anyhow, sorry. So you went to
So I went to Ryerson, and that was great. And that third year, I got pregnant and I had my first child, and then graduated from school on time. Kind of planned it, so I made sure I take extra courses before, and I was able to take a bit of time off. Graduated, and then as soon as I graduated, my husband decided that he wants to go to medical school, but he only got in Hungary. So we moved to Hungary for 5 years. So he goes to medical school. I have a 10-month-old, no job, and I have to.
Oh, you didn't go with?
I went with him.
You went?
I went
Okay,
with him.
sorry,
We all went to.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. We all went to Budapest, and now I don't speak the language. I can't get a job. I have a 10-month-old baby and a husband that studies full time. Luckily, he was able to do sort of part-time job and get some money. But I figured, what are we going to do? So I found a developer not a developer, sorry, he was a lawyer who had an idea that we can go to different areas in Europe and convince people to come to Budapest to buy for cheap apartments. I'll renovate it for them, I'll furnish it, and then he'll get a real estate agent that will get them someone to rent it. And we kind of formed like a group he went and got the people and did all the, setting up companies and the lawyer stuff. I did the design and construction and furnishing and everything, turnkey, and then there was a real estate guy that took care of the management of the properties.
What a creative business plan.
Very resourceful.
Yeah.
And none of us spoke the language, which was hilarious.
That's wild.
Wild.
Now, again, you got for anyone listening, you got to remember, like Babelfish, Google Translate, they don't exist.
Nothing.
Okay. This is like, you're drawing on paper and like hoping that the other person understands what you're trying to communicate.
Yep. So the contractor would speak German to me, and I could pick 5, words in between, and I would yell at him in English, and he could pick up 5 words, and I think a lot of the intonation into, the body language went across.
But that's the beauty about architecture. It's a drawing. So you just point to the drawing.
Exactly.
A door swing is a door swing in all countries, right? It doesn't matter in all nationalities.
Unless the country doesn't have doors.
There you go.
But it all looks the same. It's just the words, right? You don't need the words. If the drawing looks good enough, they'll understand the drawing. Okay,
it's clear enough. Clear. Yeah.
Wild.
Towards the 5 years 2 years into it, I had twin girls, so I was very busy with 3 babies at home, but I still kind of got that job going. And then an Israeli developer who came to Budapest and wanted to develop a property called me and said, "Why don't you do a residential building for me? 100 units, not very big, but I need someone that will do this for me, and I trust you." I said, "Sure, no problem." I started doing it. It went very well. He actually really wanted me to stay in Budapest and be his person, because I was able to kind of look at things more from a developer and navigate things. I had this girl who spoke 3 words in English, but she understood what I was looking for, and she was Hungarian. So she would go to the city and negotiate with the city, everything. It was interesting. 5 years ended. We came back to Toronto.
medical license?
He never got the license.
Okay.
No.
Never got the license.
It's okay. Don't worry.
He graduated. He got here. He came here, and I really wanted to go back to work, because I did all these business things there, but I really wanted to get back into architecture. And we kind of made a pact that I went there for him for school. He's going to give me a few years to get my bearings here and get into the business, and then he'll start his stuff. So he was more with the kids and helping me, which was a great plan for me. Not that so great for him, obviously, but I think he likes it. I don't think he regrets it too much. Anyway, I went back to one of my university professor, Yuthong. We work with him on some of the jobs now. And I asked for a job, and he couldn't give me a job. That they were just not busy enough. And I got a job through a friend of mine that his mother was an architect. That's Susan Black Architects. So I worked there for a year. And as I was working there, somebody came to me and said, "Hey, WZMH is interviewing." And I said, "Well, I got throughout my university class in Ryerson, I got every year a scholarship from WZMH. I've never known where you guys were. I didn't know anything about the company. I just kept getting the scholarships, and I was like, that's great. It's helping me to survive."
Was the scholarship based on grades?
Yes, it was great.
Yeah, like highest grade or something.
Okay.
Yeah, which was interesting because I was never a grade person, but somehow at Ryerson I got really high grades. It was really weird. I got I was on the a D list, and when I got the letter, I thought they were
as an error.
Yeah, no, they're throwing me out of school. I didn't know what the dean list is. I was like, oh my God, I got on the list and I'm the black list. They're going to throw me out if I'm not going to do that. And my friends were like, are you kidding me?
They're kicking me out.
I don't understand. Yeah, so I realized it was actually a good thing. So anyway, I thought it would be great. It would be kind of cool to interview for WZMH that, kind of helped me get through school.
So cool.
And I got the interview. I worked here and pretty much.
Okay. Well, I mean, we just accomplished the impossible of like covering all of your lives in 12 minutes each.
There you go.
Ish. I have to say thank you for sharing all of that because like it's a lot to kind of try to summarize everything in a interesting anecdotal way of what you've experienced. So let's go into like what the practice looks like now. And I'm also aware that your timing is very limited right now. Yeah. So let's talk about the lab and some of the other interesting initiatives that you've brought forward. Is it and who is bringing it forward? Leave it open to you.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, so I think the important thing to note is that we all bring it forward, right?
Yes.
So, WZMH is very much about the people, the partners, the staff. It's all about human beings. So it's not one person that kind of does one thing. We all kind of work together, right? I think that's really, really important. And I think that's key to kind of the success of the firm, key to kind of succession planning, right? I think one thing the firm has done very, very well since the day I've been here is kind of this kind of forward thinking about who the next leaders are going to be and basically nurturing those leaders to ensure that the firm kind of, lasts forever, right?
Yeah.
So just kind of getting back to the lab. So again, it started in 2017, very much about thinking outside of the box, about kind of addressing pain points that we see in the industry in terms of how buildings are built. I always say that, we really haven't kind of changed the way we build buildings. We still use hammers and nails and stuff. There have been some advances, but typically in our industry, the advances have been at a very, very slow pace compared to other industries, right? So the lab is very much about looking at solving pain points, how to reduce the amount of materials we use in buildings, looking at making buildings more sustainable, making buildings a lot more better in terms of the quality, in terms of how components are put together, right? That's kind of the focus of the lab, Sparkbird. But as I mentioned earlier, as we develop ideas, and one thing that's really cool about the lab, and I didn't know this, so I think a lot of us didn't know this, but when you go and invent something, when you start becoming an inventor and you invent something, I've seen this now with every one of our inventions, is that during the process of inventing, you'll come up with 2 or 3 other inventions.
Yes,
right? It just happens, right? And in many cases, those other inventions could actually be standalone ideas, right? So that's really cool about the lab. It's like you never run out of ideas. You start working on something, and all of a sudden, 2 or 3 other ideas will come about. And many times we don't even have time to work on them. We have to shelve them, right?
Yep.
So we have a lot of ideas we could build in there forever, right? But again, we started looking at software ideas, right? And start developing software solutions to, again, address not only what we do every single day, but even ideas for the construction industry, ideas for building operators, right? So we started building these things internally with our own resources by hiring some, young kids out of school that understood some software development, right? Mm-hmm. And then we realized, hey, wait a minute, these are good ideas. We were getting some very good positive feedback from industry. So we created a separate company called Giraffe, Giraffe Apps. So Giraffe Apps is now a separate software company fully owned by us, by WZMH Architects, but a separate company that's set up now to basically build and sell and commercialize these apps, right? And it's also set up for us to basically attract investors. So right now we're in the mode of looking for investors to kind of come into Giraffe and help us build these software solutions bigger and better and faster, right?
Why Giraffe?
Why Giraffe? The name Giraffe?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. So our Sparkbird lab, when we had our Sparkbird, when we first invented our Sparkbird lab, when we first started, it was just a lab, right? And then during COVID, we said, okay, we have to give it a name, right? So we basically had an office-wide competition, right, for the names. And then we had a jury, an independent jury that came in one day and kind of looked at all the names and picked the names. Sparkbird was the name. Giraffe was the second place name, right, by another staff member. And so we always said, we will probably use that name at some point.
It went on the shelf.
Yeah, it went on the shelf, right? And then, call it 2 years later, hey, let's use Giraffe for this software company, right? And it just so happens that most of the software solutions we have, the name is around an animal. Animals, right? So it's like almost like a zoo, right? So yeah. So it's interesting.
Welcome to the wild.
Exactly. Welcome to the wild. So that's kind of, the two things that we believe, and we're being told by by our clients and even our competitors that is very unique to this profession is the so-called living lab where we're actually inventing things, and also this software arm that's actually building software solutions to, again, improve the efficiency of what we do every single day, to improve the quality, to look at also sustainability. So we're building things to, again, make our workspace, the way that we work, a lot more efficient, but with a focus on better quality, better design, better from a sustainability perspective as well, right? So, and now that's also becoming a big challenge because of AI, right? So AI has now kind of entered the picture in the last, year and a half.
Yep.
And actually what's interesting is a lot of the things that we're developing in our lab kind of fit very well with the whole AI world. So, we believe we're going down the right path with our software ideas, with our Sparkbird idea, and AI. And what's really interesting, I might be going off topic here, but
you're not.
What I've actually learned myself personally, what I'm seeing actually is that, because everybody's going down this AI path, I personally believe that we got to maybe spend more time on the bricks and mortar stuff. So although we kind of started off in Sparkbird, which is very much bricks and mortar, then we started building Giraffe, a software company. There's a lot more focus now back in Sparkbird, back on the bricks and mortar stuff, on the physical stuff, that stuff that AI can't build stuff yet, right? So we're actually kind of doing a lot of things now on the physical side in terms of building components, stuff like that, right? A lot of it around modular, a lot of it around mass timber, but inventing things that are physical things, not necessarily software things. We're still doing that,
yeah.
But I personally believe that I think the AI world is going to kind of take that over the software side. We may not have a competitive advantage, but we'll have this competitive advantage because of Sparkbird and the physical stuff that we're doing in terms of building components, right?
So if people wanted to invest in Giraffe, or they wanted to invest in Sparkbird, is there an opportunity to invest in Sparkbird? Because you did mention that you can do it with Giraffe.
Yeah, so Giraffe you could do.
Yeah.
Sparkbird is not set up, but to your point, we've had a lot of interest. So we've basically opened an office in the Middle East and North Africa in Riyadh. One of our partners, Mohammed, spends about half a year there. We have a lot of interest from construction companies and private developers in the Middle East that actually, one of them came and said, we want to buy all of Sparkbird. And we kind of said, no, we're not going to sell Sparkbird. Yeah. First of all, it's not a separate company, right? And if we do this, we got to figure a way to kind of do it. So there's interest, actually, believe it or not, in investment into Sparkbird.
I'm not surprised. That's why I was asking the question. So if someone wanted to get involved in helping to finance Giraffe,
that's easy.
Okay. So if you're listening and you want to figure that out, feel free. You can email me and I'll connect you with them.
Exactly.
And we can work.
We'll give you a finder's fee.
I'm all. Hey, look, I'm all for it.
We'll give you some shares.
That's what my consulting business is for. Let's leave that alone for now. I don't talk about it. But for real, if there's someone listening to this and you're interested in understanding what that could look like, I'll connect you with them because it sounds to me very interesting. Mm-hmm. The industry is destined to be able to have a ton of apps that will shake up the entire industry on a global scale. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. One thing that I always tell everybody is that, in today's day and age, in terms of WZMH competing against other firms, when we make the short list, right? So let's say we're competing for a project that's a competition or a government in RFP, and they have a short list, and they shortlist of 3 firms, and you'll go for an interview, right? I always use this example because I've been in a scenario where you go for the interview and the other 2 firms are standing in the lobby, right? At the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all the same in the sense that we all have very similar portfolios, very similar experience levels, similar awards. All this stuff is very, very similar. It's not like one firm is way better than the other. That's the reason why 3 are there. They've all qualified. They have very similar credentials, right?
Yep.
So what then differentiates us from the competition? And now when we go to these interviews and we're able to kind of put on the wall on the screen and show them what Sparkbird does, what Giraffe does, that's a big differentiator, right? And I think it's fair to say it's difficult to prove, but it's fair to say that is helping us win projects, right? It's also helping us retain talent. We have a lot of talent that come out of the universities, colleges that come here and say, can I work in Sparkbird? Can I get involved in Giraffe, right? So it's a great tool, I call it a tool, that's actually helping us win projects, helping us get in front of clients that we've never been in front of before by showing this innovation. They're like, this is cool. We want to talk to you guys. So all of a sudden we're talking about Sparkbird, but then we start talking about a job for them. That may be done under a normal way, right? But so we even get clients that way. So it's an amazing tool to kind of not only allow us to think outside of the box, be always fresh thinking, but also allow us to win projects, meet new clients.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, major differentiators, I think, in any business are always going to be services and people.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Those are the two things. And if you've got the right people, you're typically going to be able to build the right services, and the services will help service the people. So like those two things go hand in hand. The other factor is if you're going into those meetings, you probably want to bring Supreet, because Supreet's like 100% in 2 interviews.
Yeah.
That's right.
No,
Fair.
Yeah.
I had to bring it back.
Yeah.
But your point, and I think we all believe this at WZMH is we are only here today because of the people and the staff that we have that believe in the firm, that want to take part in the success of the firm. And if it wasn't for the people, if it wasn't for the smart brains that we have in our firm and the people that are eager to kind of want to be part of this, then we wouldn't be where we are today, right? So it's all about the people.
Does the scholarship still exist?
Yes.
And how many years has that existed for?
I could tell you when I went to Ryerson, it existed. I never won the scholarship. I was actually one of the not one of the great students, but it was there since. So if I was guessing, and I graduated in '93,
so 40 almost. Yeah, 40
so
years.
It's been around a very, very long time, and we also have scholarships for University of Toronto, and then we do other things too. So my background being Ukrainian. I'm
also, by the way, I got to tell you, I have portion of Ukraine.
Okay.
And the Jewish thing.
What? Well, so you're like Zelensky.
Zelensky?
I mean, I'm definitely managing and putting out less wars than what that man's
guy. But so all I wanted to say,
yes,
and because of my background is Ukrainian, I have a lot of family there. We hired a lot of Ukrainians that came to Canada post full-scale invasion. We've set up these scholarship programs where we actually retain 2 students per term, so-called 4 students per year since 2022, where they do research for us and we actually give them funds. So
I love this.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff, right? And it's actually the Ukrainian architects that came here that actually manage and organize that, right? So they meet with them every week online. They see their work, and then we're getting a lot of professors in Toronto, from U of T, and from Ryerson, Team U that get involved as mentors and stuff. So WZMH is actually doing quite a bit in terms of sponsoring, supporting youth in our profession.
I want to talk to you about that offline, because there's an element of like something that I want to start doing that I think ties in directly with that.
That's great.
Can I ask you how you are on time?
I can still stay for 5 more minutes.
Okay. So yeah. Don't worry. I'm gonna shift it. So tell me about some of the other initiatives that exist within the practice and things that have potentially changed between when you started and what it looks like now. Whether that is, is it how you answer RFPs? Is it how you are scouting for your new talent? Is it in terms of public work, civic work, commercial work? What is it that you are now trying to implement from your driving across, all of America, and, traveling all over the world to be able to experience things so how are you drawing upon those experiences to change what you're offering?
Yeah, I think I can talk a little bit about the talent and about how the architecture world has changed. And
sure.
then I can probably pick on public-private partnerships and those kind of things. So I think one of the key things, again, the legacy of the firm, we have been here since 1961. And what has really kept us relevant is diversification. Because we started as office architects. We were doing office buildings all over downtown Toronto, some in Calgary, some in Vancouver. But that's what we were known for in the 1960s. But if we were still doing that and only doing that, we wouldn't be here today.
Yes. Well, I do want to ask, I alluded to it at the very beginning, one of the most iconic places in Canada. It's a place. It is.
CN Tower?
Yeah.
We are the architects of CN Tower. There's a documentary coming out in May.
Okay. Zenon's got to go, and I got to thank you. Thank you for being part of
We'll
this.
keep in touch, and that stuff you want to talk about.
Yes.
Later on, let me know. And even today, afterwards you're done, we could spend 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
And just so you know, everything you just heard, it's staying in here. Yeah, you've heard the exit. Sorry, CN Tower and office buildings. So, and I want to say that because I think that also helps set the parameter, which we didn't do at the very beginning, to say like this is a practice that has like established roots in Canadian culture. So sorry.
No, and you're right. And as I said, diversification. So what's another interesting fun fact is that CN Tower completed 50 years this year. And so did Royal Bank Plaza, which was also one of the other buildings that WZMH worked on. And what's interesting is that relationship itself, how we did this for Royal Bank Plaza, and then we continue to work for Royal Bank today, and they're one of our big accounts, is like, how the legacy has continued, but it has diversified and it has changed the way it works today. Now, it's not about the iconic building because it's already been built. Now, it's about keeping it relevant, refreshing it, bringing people back to workplace. So again, the back to workplace mandate is a big change in landscape that we are seeing today, which is again a big driver of the work we do today. So change in landscape, we're seeing a back to workplace mandate. So there's a lot of work that we are doing with all of these financial institutions and clients that we are bringing people back to work, but it cannot be just desks and chairs, right? So the other thing we are learning is you have got to create a good environment, good ambience for the people to be coming back. And yes, it starts with people, as we said, so investing in people. So I do want to also touch upon, yes, in addition to diversification into all of these sectors, because where we started with office, now we have retail, residential, mixed use, master planning, transportation, all of the hospitality, commercial, you name it, we have it, except for hospitals. Right? Healthcare is the only one we don't do. And we continue to stay diversified because the economy is changing, the landscape continues to change. So we don't want to be reactive, we want to be proactive. So we want to continue the relationships. End of the day, it still comes down to the relationships we build. It still comes down to the people we have. And it's not about just the people we are servicing or our clients, but it's also about the people who we're working with on a daily basis as a team. So how are we attracting the talent and how are we retaining the talent? And what is it that we are offering different that the other firms will not be offering? I think you have started to set yourself up differently. Because why would anybody want to come to WZMH and not go to another architectural firm that could be offering more money? It's about what kind of culture we are creating here, what kind of environment we are creating here. What are we offering in terms of them to learn, to grow, and to get to a career they want to get to? Which brings us to our academy. So we created this WZMH Academy specifically because it was all about talent acquisition and talent retention, and also continuing to coach and train people of, how, like, we don't want to forget about it. We want to continue to provide quality work. So service comes from quality work. Quality work comes from continued training, continued investment. So we've started many programs. So we have an academy that we had one session today, which was really good. It was about communication, effective communication in workplace. So again, we had a third-party person come who was really, we had this whole lunch and the entire office joined, and it was about communicating. So investing, thinking about it, not just, okay, do your job, here's your job description. That's never going to go anywhere, right? So I think thinking beyond that. And also investing in people in terms of succession planning. So we did also start a leadership development program where we are looking at who are very promising superstars. How do we help them grow and follow their career path? So we created this leadership development program where we are doing workshops to try and, train and coach and get help. And we were a part of it as well.
It wasn't as defined.
No, that's right. But yeah, I mean, it's always growing and learning, and you have to put in effort than just doing your job, daily job. So there's so much more beyond and outside of what we do daily. So it's people, clients, and the people we work with, and how are we continuing to invest in them. So that's where we feel like we are setting ourselves apart and doing things that other firms are probably not doing.
And so Moran, when you look at where you are now, being here, and you look at the diversification of what you saw in your travels and experiences, are you now looking at projects that are in other countries? I know that that's always been around, but are you looking to continue to diversify and go with a larger reach?
So interestingly enough, I personally actually work on government projects. So they're large government projects, high security, and they're all obviously in Canada, mostly in Ontario, Ottawa. So personally, I'm very connected to the work here. But as a company, we've looked at diversifying geographical locations. So Supreet was talking about the different industries.
Yes.
So other than healthcare, we do everything. So and Zenon mentioned Muhammad, who was spending in the Middle East about half of his time, and it kind of ties to the people. So when we do go to a different country, so we did open an office in Saudi, and from Saudi, Muhammad is kind of actually looking at the entire Middle East area, anywhere from Egypt.
It is a physical office space?
It is a physical office space, and he's JVing joint ventures with local companies, but he's physically there, and that's the whole idea, because he really creates relationship. He really, we have boots on the ground, and that's kind of the way we do these things.
Yeah.
And we just recently opened an office down in Austin in Texas.
You did?
We did.
Wow. When?
So it was about a year ago that we actually started sort of.
It all now,
So right now it's not a physical one yet. We are basically looking at to lease a space. But that's exactly what's happening right now. We're kind of looking at, okay, we opened that company over there. We got already a couple of jobs running, and we need to start getting boots on the ground, getting the people, hiring the right people. You got to be there. So we were just talking about that recently, and we will be opening in a physical location there.
And I just want to add there, it's interesting because there was one point when WZMH was actually doing work in many different countries. And at some point, even though we diversified into sectors, but we were doing work only in Canada at some point.
Right.
So now understanding, again, you have to be ready for any situation, economies, how they're doing, you cannot future-proof anything, but you have to be ready for everything.
Yep.
So be proactive, not reactive. So I think one of the things was we want to diversify geographic locations as well. So MENA being one of them, US being one of them. So Austin office, California, and we're looking at all other places as well. So another one of our partners is regularly flying to Texas. We're just in the middle of acquiring this office space so we can actually physically be there, because that's one thing to say I do work in US and another to say that I am in US and I do work in US. So I think it's, I said boots on the ground. So we are very actively looking at that. And I'm pretty sure next time around, when we have the next podcast, which I'm sure we'll be already diversified geographically as well.
We can do it in Austin. I was there last year.
There you go.
When I was there with Lutron Electronics, and we did like a tour with some local architects that I've also had on the podcast, all of whom run incredibly successful practices, and got this amazing tour of Austin, like neighborhoods and downtown, and like just the amount of diversification of projects, but people, and it's like a melting pot culturally in Austin. It's like, it's not like traditional America in many ways.
The tech industry, everything is happening there now.
So it's amazing to hear that you're going there, because I think that it's like that. I mean, it's totally booming in Austin.
Yeah. And we do find that diversifying geographically actually helps us to also maintain that diversification of the type of projects.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of I lost the word. Hospitality.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of hospitality back in the days, like in the 60s and 70s, and we kind of stopped because there's not a lot going on in Canada. But now that we started again going into the Middle East, we're looking at the States, that the industry, we actually see it starting to go up, which is really interesting. Like in very short time, like we started Middle East 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And we can already see this sort of the graphs of shifting of different industries getting a much larger role in our portfolio.
I mean, I was talking to so many different architects on a regular basis. I mean, I'm talking to people and they're saying like, hoteliers are looking all the time for land or to buy old bank buildings and convert them into hotels. Yeah. And it's happening all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because that was the other thing we were doing is we're always trying to think outside the box. So during COVID, we created a number of brochures and portfolios where we were using the sea cans for these COVID shots and everything. And I think there was a whole thing that PCL built as well. And then we were suddenly looking at taking the office floor plates and converting them to hotels and res. What does that look like? And what is the right floor plate size? So we were not waiting for a client to come and tell us, hey, I want to look at doing res because we think there is a need for res. That was, again, 5 years ago. It was us saying, hey, we think this is a way to do things, because you have to keep thinking, being proactive and then reach out to the clients to say, hey, by the way, have you thought about this for your property? Here's the potential. And that gets the conversation going, because now you are thinking for them and you're giving them ideas. Yeah. So personally, for me, another thing happened was, because retail has kind of been my sector that I have been looking at it for 20 plus years. Yeah. In addition to master plan and mixed use. So it's seen a lot of change. So because in COVID, everybody said, oh my God, brick and mortar is dead. What, do you stop working in retail and start doing something else?
Well, you start building large scale distribution centers, right? And then focus on those and do that alone, because that's all anyone's ever going to do. And then people are like, get me out of my house. Get me out of my house.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
That's right. I don't want Amazon.
I want to travel and I want to go shopping.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it is always changing, and it's not like one thing is dead or the other is not. So what I always say is nothing is dead. It's only transitioning. It's only changing. So retail was never dead. It's only changed. And good for us, because it continues to change and evolve and change and evolve and change and evolve. If you stay ahead of what you can do with the evolution and be there with your ideas, you're the one who's going to be doing that change for them. Yeah. So that's how we've kept that going as well. So we were doing all of the Sears. Then first we were doing all of the Targets, and we were doing all of the Sears. Now we're doing all of the Hudson Space.
Interesting.
So reinventing, but again, it's not about just, oh, here's the box, let's put more retail in there. It's about, you have all of this space, it's active. What do you do with it? How do you, so it's about adaptive reuse now. It's not just about repurposing. It's about, how do you think of adaptive reuse into different uses? And then, why am I waiting for some client to come and tell me that they want to think about it? Why am I not already thinking about it? If I'm living and breathing it as a part of my work, I should already be thinking, what can we do with these empty big boxes that are sitting there? How can we rethink and reuse them, and maybe think more about the community spaces? And how do we bring more people back in? Because people do want to come back in there, as long as you create something meaningful for them.
So how do you go, excuse the naivety of the question, okay, but how do you take a basic, let's say you're doing a pro forma on what something could be, you're investing time in this, internal resources are going into it, and you're talking about Sparkbird, Giraffe, and all these other elements, like there is a lot of, you can consider it potentially lost revenue going into.
Is it?
Well,
it's lost revenue, but you gain something else.
Potential.
Yeah, but you're getting something else.
You're investing in this, which is giving people the creative freedom within the walls of the space that we're in now to go and flex those brain muscles, which is something they need to do. But beyond that, if you want to go after something like a large scale urban planning project and hopefully acquire that contract, and then hopefully acquire the contract to design the architecture for it. And if you're lucky, then also get to do potentially the interior of that space, right?
Yeah.
How do you present, I don't even know if it's the right question to ask you, but how would you go about presenting first the urban planning, then the architecture, then
I think
to try to win more of this work?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I think to just kind of, what you're saying, like how do you, spend that investment, clients appreciate it. When we go to an interview and we say, we can do this for you. You have a vision, you want to do something. We say, we can do this for you, but we can also do this. And then we show them all these other options. And it's two things. We that's how Zenon talked about that, how we get jobs this way, because we're able to show that we're not just doing the job that another investor told us or whatever you're looking for. We're actually showing you how we think outside the box. We try it. We study it. We demonstrate if it works or it doesn't. We have ideas that we validate them. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is our employees start thinking that way. So our employees, when you give them a task to do, they don't just give you the wall section that you ask for. There's a lot of thinking going behind it, because they know we appreciate it. They know our clients appreciate it. So it becomes part of the culture, and people really like that. And to your point, it's not lost revenue. It's a marketing.
We encourage them to say why. Yeah, and then just to add to that, one interesting thing is, let's hypothetically speaking, we are given an RFP.
Yeah.
We go for an interview and we say, here's what you want us to do, and here's our fee to do it, and here's why you think you should pick us, right? And 5 other architects are doing that.
All the standard.
5,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I go into that interview and I say, by the way, I looked at your property and I studied it, and there are some other ideas other than what you've already proposed, how we could do better, or not even better, how there are other things we could be exploring it, because we already thought about it before we went for the interview.
Right.
Key differentiators. So we keep coming back to, you have to go outside. So yes, it's investment of time, but it's what's going to get you, win the people, their trust, and the project. So I think it's a win-win situation for all. So yes, you have to invest, and I wouldn't look at it as a lost revenue, because you get it or you don't. You will get sometimes, you won't get it sometimes. You didn't get it sometimes. You thought of a new idea and you have something creative you created, could be used for something else, another site, another project.
Right.
You didn't, and if you did win it, there's a win-win, because we set the tone that we are different and why you should be picking us.
Right. So my lead of that worked.
Absolutely.
And I phrase it that way only because I think that there are a lot of practices that will cut their knees off by not thinking outside of what they're just doing on the standard cookie cutter or answer to an RFP, that doesn't allow them to be able to go and attain what they could do in terms of their own greatness. And when you analyze what we've been discussing and you look at the facets of what the services that are offered here are, it's impressive. It's like you can have a lab, right? But like, really, what's it doing? Is it fulfilling someone's ego, or is it actually achieving something? Yeah. Because there are those out there that just want to have a lab to say they have a lab.
Yeah, that's not what's going
on
here.
I don't get the sense that that's the case at all. So it's, to me, it's interesting because you end up, to your point, when we talked about this before about service and people, you end up attracting a mental type that wants to expand their horizons on things that they never thought were possible. In just drawing the standard line. Now, Zenon's not here. Zenon, you're listening to this now. You talked about wanting to only draw certain lines. Okay.
That's how we started.
Right? Yeah. That's how, exactly. That's how it all started. And now look at you. You got like you got swerves and swirls.
Exactly.
And softwares and hardwares.
Right? So I find it really interesting. And when it comes to looking at global outreach, I assume that if you've got enough of a product here in Canada, going and acquiring it elsewhere in the world, now that you have it as a part of the umbrella of projects that you've seen built, acquiring the work outside of here is not going to be as challenging anymore. Hopefully. So hopefully.
Yes.
So among many of these things that we've talked about today, and there have been like a slew of both your own personal journeys and then the evolution of the practice, the changes within the practice, projects, labs, all of it. What else is there that you think is really interesting about some of the things that you're working on right now?
So again, as I said, the industries are always changing. So the projects are always changing. So let's say we are doing retail, then we are starting to look at the master plan for the retail side. So if you're looking at the master plan, we start to look at the retail elements. So again, don't only look at what you're given, but look at everything. Yeah. And it's interesting because one of my personal accounts that I've been looking since 2019 is an RBC account, which is a vendor of record account. And that is a funny story about how we started with the software, because again, we're an architectural firm. We do drafting, we do design, we do beautiful renderings and pictures, and then we go on site and make sure it's built the way we designed it. That's what you're supposed to do, right? And then we coordinate with engineers. But then when you start to do something over and over again, and you have to start thinking there has to be a better and a more efficient way to do it. Why am I still doing things the old way? With all the technology that we have in front of us and everything that we are getting, why are we not looking into that and saying, how can we do things more faster, more efficient, different ways? And so we get every project in retail or anything, we get these design standards. And they are these big, bulky PDF books in which they would have put the cut sheets for everything they want to use on the project and their standard layouts. And you just keep repeating. So not only is it boring for the people who are doing the same work, but it's also cumbersome because you're again and again looking at the PDF to find something and then you're putting it into the model. So we thought of developing an app internally. And believe it or not, we use the Power Apps that Microsoft has. We said, hey, let's just quickly look at something we can create. You take all of these standards and you put them in this one-click solution. You click on the plan, it takes you to the room. You click on the room, it takes you to the details. You click on the details, it takes you to the cut sheets and the specs. But 4 clicks, I got the information I wanted. Why don't we do that internally? So we started that. We did that internally. The team used it. They loved it. We said, hey, this is an app that a lot of the people in the AEC industry can actually take advantage of, because pretty much everybody has some or the other kind of standards. And that's came the birth of Parrot, which was one of our first apps that we kind of worked with. Parrot. It repeats what you do.
I love it.
Parrot. Parrot repeats what you do. So it's repetition of design standards, right? So again, an animal kind of a name. So we came up with a number of, so that was one of the apps, but then we came up with a number of these ideas. Again, you are doing these beautiful designs. So we have to go for zoning, and all we have is amassing models. But we can't just show to the city, here's a 60-story mass, and this is what I want to put and get zoning on. So how do you, without spending hours and hours and hours of design into it and creating something really artistic, still be able to convey your narrative and story about what kind of development you want to do, but just an idea. So is it worth it? Can we get zoning or not before you actually spend a year designing it?
Right.
So came our software called AIM. So AIM was something based on all of our high-rise projects we had done and designed in the office. We took that, and one of the persons, they put an algorithm to it.
Okay.
So we created all of these different algorithms, and all you have to do is pick how you want it, and it creates a skin or a facade for your mass. And there's a beautiful building design for you. So again, using our own work, we created our own algorithms and we came up with this software. So now we are able to go from massing models to beautifully looking buildings, not to say that's going to be the final design, but at least an idea of it. So it is pretty to the eyes and it gets the picture across and it says, okay, I see what you want to do over there.
Right.
So that was one of them. And the other one is like, we have this robot called Scanna, which goes on site and is taking pictures, it's sensing everything. So there are a lot of these little
You had a robot commissioned to be built?
Yes, we have Scanna. It scans.
We built it in the lab.
And then we added a software app to it, and it just
You built a robot in the lab?
yes.
And then we tested it on one of the site that I worked on. We went there, and the idea of this is you basically, today, if you wanted to take a robot on site, you'd have to teach it. Like you put it on the site and it will kind of, if you have the one that cleans the house, it kind of learns the map and then it maps it out. Our robot, you can actually take a plan and you upload the path and it goes. And it sounds very simple, but it was actually very difficult to teach it. But we finally did.
Walking in our office
it was
for
quite
many days before we put it on a site.
Yes. And then it just goes and it gives us all the information. It takes anything from pictures and sensors, humidity, everything.
And is it an immediate upload to a server that it happens from site?
Mm-hmm.
So people here can get real-time information while the robot's moving on site.
But we have a person babysitting.
Yeah, it's operating. Yeah.
So somebody that babysits it. We call him literally the babysitter.
No one listening right now can just see what happened. My mind just exploded.
Yes, I think beyond architecture and see what can you integrate, because it's forward-thinking architecture.
Yes.
I am stupefied by all the things that I've just learned here today about what you've done. It's funny. So Justin made the introduction for us, who looks after your PR. And I was admittedly, when we were initially supposed to have our first conversation, I had to cancel, I think. I had a conflict on that day, and I was really I never cancel these. I don't do it. And
you don't hold it against you.
Well, I hold it against myself.
Okay.
I really pride myself on managing my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was upset about it because I had done a little bit of research, and I really try to come into these interviews not doing more than what I need to know just a little bit about who the people are and some of the core projects. And I do it that way because I want to take it from the standpoint that the person in the car that's listening might know the name of who we're talking to, might know the practice, but they don't know anything about the practice. So I try to come at it from that fresh angle. And so when I did my little bit of research, and I'm like, oh, they were the architect of record on the CN Tower, and then all of these RBC, and then I started reading about the amount of steel that went into the components with the RBC. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, this practice is like incredible. And then I going deeper, I'm like, oh, this is going to be really interesting. I'm going to have potentially four people here. So, and I say all of this because when you're running what I'll call, and you'll agree with, you might not want to, but you'll agree with, like an influential practice, and you're going to take your time away from running the physical practice to have a conversation with a person you've never met. There is some weight to that in what you could be doing with your time. So I appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to do this with me today. It has been so enlightening. I have a newfound admiration for what you do as professionals that you didn't know and you probably don't need, but I just need to tell you that. It is so impressive to know that this practice has evolved in so many ways and that they have seen the value in people for decades to be bringing in people from all over the world with their lived and education experience to run a practice now that is different from what it was before in so many ways, but also in the same way. This has been, I know this is a really long tangent, but it's been a breeding ground for so much talent across Canada and people that have left here and gone to other places in the world, that if you listening to this now were unfamiliar with WZMH, I'm hoping that you have now found the same level of joy that I have in learning more about it. So I want to thank the two of you. Zenon, you're not here, whatever. Thank the two of you for taking time out of the day to do this, because it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, and likewise. And remember, it's an investment. You did not take us away from our precious work, because this is a part of our precious work, to be able to talk to people, to be able to say what we think, what we do every day. I think it's an opportunity for us. So thank you for having us on the podcast, Jonathan.
Yeah, Supreet, Moran.
Yay to you.
Thank you for
awesome.
joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.